Sure. I'm Chris Edwards. I'm the founder and one of the previous supervisors at a company called The Third Floor, where we do a lot of planning for the creation of movies and feature films, as well as video games and commercials. And we started the company at Skywalker Ranch with George Lucas on the third Star Wars movie. Now we are the world's largest studio that does this, where we use computer graphics to help plan various creative projects. You can think of Previs as kind of a digital sandbox, a place where you can go and filmmaker or creative can try things out. And so a lot of the benefits are creative, but also in terms of the producing and the efficiency of how to spend that money on that creative vision. When it gets approved in previs form, you have much more efficient shooting. You have a very efficient post-production or visual effects process to complete your project. And so it's that one of those unique things where it is both a win-win creatively and financially to do previs. I mean, previs is the most creative part of the early conceptual process. After the script is written, the previs team can work together with the art department, coming up with scene by scene what that director's vision looks like. So what we do is we use rough models of the characters, of the actors, the props, all of the environments, and we create that early version of the movie. And this is the moment where anything is possible. And we really work out the best possible solutions and then hopefully make a better movie. And it's really inspirational to see some of that work get translated into that final product. Sometimes it takes years to complete the previs blueprint. Yeah, we've been working with directors all around the world, including some of the most high-profile directors like James Cameron and Alfonso Cuarón, the director of Gravity, as well as Steven Spielberg on War Horse and an upcoming movie that we're working with him on. We are just so blessed to be able to work with these amazing creatives and that they trust their previs team, which is usually just like 6 to 10 people working together for a period of several months to maybe half a year or so. To plan their vision and make it stronger. Well, definitely car commercials are one of the big areas for previs, but it's also just about any complicated commercial can use previs very effectively. I mean, we work for many banks, credit card companies, all kinds of fancy commercials that need to be planned in advance. So previs is actually one of the best tools for commercial production because it is a short period of time where you spend a considerable amount of money to make a message that has to be very tight and very focused on what the audience needs to receive about that brand or the creative marketing. And so it really is a perfect excuse to do the previs, to plan multiple ways of doing it and then choosing, even test audiencing, showing it to a test audience, the results, and then you decide, oh, okay, that's the one we should do. Let's do it that way. That's going to be the most effective message. Well, previs is actually shaping the way in which filmmakers approach their films, because before it was a lot more about, just mentally getting prepared, going out there, and then seeing what kind of what's called happy accidents happen on set. What does that set really look like, and how do you respond to different situations that happen that are a bit chaotic when you shoot a film? And these days things are so complicated and have to be done in layers that they're actually putting a lot more of their decision-making earlier in the process, which is their decision to hopefully make a better, more focused product at the end of their creative process. So it really is like building a sculpture. You start with a lump of clay, and then the previs can then be, clay can be added onto it. You can subtract until you have what you believe is the most perfect plan. But of course, that doesn't limit your creativity. That's just a starting point. Directors go out the advertising the shoot can happen, and you come up with even more things above and beyond the previs to add to it to make it even better. But you have the confidence to know that you are shooting what will work as a base. And I think that's one of the reasons why it is at a core creative level changing the way in which the creative leaders, the directors, and the creative producers will approach the project. And certainly from a budgeting standpoint, the producers that are in charge of making the commercial campaign come under budget or on budget, this is very critical to work through these stages and determine the best approach. Yeah, previs is home to many different types of artists that come together. It's you need to have someone who is a little bit more technical mixed with someone who's very creative and knows film language and can operate the camera in the most pleasing way. So it really is that eclectic team that must work together, and it's the job of the previs supervisor, who is the main person in charge of that team, to translate the director's vision or the creative head's vision, and command that team of different individuals to make that happen. So it's a bit of an art form. It's a developing art form. We've been at it for over 10 years, and have become, I guess, very fluid in the way in which we can work creatively. Part of that is because we have built up tools and libraries of assets and things that we can use and reuse to not have to reinvent the wheel every time. And this is effective when you want to just try something out and you're not quite sure of the direction. So I guess that's the answer, is to really work with everyone's strengths and to try to use that common medium, the previs sandbox, as a way to show everyone's ideas. And that director or the end client gets to choose whether or not that's working, or they choose from many, many options to steer the direction of the final product. But you know, our asset library is only as good as what we've done in the past or what we discipline ourselves to do in our spare time. So these days we have many cities of the world mapped out. I don't think we've done Istanbul yet. We haven't had the excuse to build pieces of it. But if we ever had a job that did that, we would build on that library. But even within a city, there are certain types of buildings, and some modern buildings, some old buildings and architecture. So we have the pieces to pull that together faster than just about anyone else could. And it's also about the way in which you can animate those characters within the scene in a way which is effective for previs. So that means, like, you know, we may be hiring actors to get in motion capture suits to do the performance of all of the main characters within an ad or a feature film. And that process is something that we've worked very long and hard on to create a fluid workflow for that, so that every day your vision is getting stronger. Every day you see a new version of your creative product. Yeah, I mean, part of our plan is to expand internationally into all of the burgeoning areas of the world where there's a lot of need for this type of cosmopolitan, advertising industry, as well as the feature film markets. And I think that we're increasingly becoming a global marketplace to both create our films and products, but also to release them to the world. And so I've been doing a lot of work in China, for example, because they're similarly, they have a rich culture, rich history that is fantastic, that a lot of the world is largely unaware of, or needs to learn more about. And I'm excited that some of these tools can help make the films from the next generation of Turkish cinematographers and directors and producers actually become recognized on the world stage. And I think that's going to take a big international communication effort and collaboration. And so what we're looking at is based on the jobs that we get, that we would set up local team, perhaps supported by a couple of our veterans from our home studios in London and Los Angeles. And you know, that way we could tackle the film and actually build a stronger local team that could be sustainable as part of this market. And we've done this effectively all around the world, supporting filmmakers where they want to go. And it's just a matter of the critical mass of work. If there's a lot of demand once we introduce this technology and this process to Turkey, then I would imagine that we would have a team in perhaps the capital cities of this country and others. But the nice thing is that we can work together as a global team to support that. So we'll need to have folks on the ground here, as well as a link back to our main studios. Yeah, so for feature films, of course, it can be, you know, a year or more, but usually several months of targeted previs work, because you're not doing every single scene in the movie for most films. But for films like Gravity, you are. That's why it took 11 months cumulatively to do that. Plus, it was a very slow creative process because of the director's personal preferences for honing in on that vision. But for commercials, typically we have to pace ourselves to the pace of a fast-paced commercial production. So that means that we are given 2, maybe 3 weeks if we're lucky to do this initial previs creative design process. Of course, it can be done faster. You can double up the team. You can change the process in a way where it isn't as detailed, but you still get some of the technical information out of the process to be able to be more empowered on set. So yeah, that's the answer. It's usually a matter of a couple of weeks. Usually you would spend the first couple of days to week building out the sets and the characters and understanding the director's vision, maybe doing some setups. And it's that following week or two where you get to see that first animated pass, and then the most important part, which is the iterative refinement process, where you're going through many iterations, changing, improving, and making all the clients so much happier in that process. Yeah, I mean, I think that the most important thing to remember is that previs is a communication tool, and it's different on every project. You know, the demands of a commercial campaign is going to be different than a feature film or a video game or something like a theme park attraction. Different timelines, different teams required, slightly different creative and approach, but I think it's a combination of that ability for previs to sort of pull the team together to create a cohesive, shared vision, a common vision among all the collaborators, and where everyone is signing off. Yep, I like that creative. Yes, it's doable within the budget. I now know how to do that more efficiently. And then fourthly, it is technically achievable. So we've planned it very well. So I guess those are the main values that previs tries to support: creativity, efficiency, planning, collaboration. You know, it's core creative concepts that are now just a little easier to pull together using the computer graphics. No, well, I just wanted to say it's just such an honor to be here at the festival. It's nice that it's here at a wonderful school that also supports communication, advertising, the arts. I've met many people here that are part of the student body that are excited about the future, and that's, to me, the most important impact that we can have here at a festival like this, is really just inspire the next generation. And that's what I hope to gain from this, is really just, you know, maybe if there's a couple people in the audience that somehow I have inspired to, that they can go beyond their current conception of what can be done in the industry in this country, that maybe the possibilities are on a global scale. And I think that's absolutely true, and I can't wait to start collaborating more in this country. How do we do?